It was the summer of 2024 when Jeremy Wade, broadcaster and intrepid angler, stepped onto a stage in Bristol to deliver remarks that would send shockwaves through the world of wildlife documentaries. Fans of River Monsters, his Emmy-winning series that once drew 20 million viewers per episode, leaned in as he cleared his throat and said four words nobody expected. They pulled the plug. A hush fell over the packed auditorium. Cameras panned to capture every furrowed brow and notebook poised mid-scribe. When he added, "And here's why," jaws dropped. Tonight, you'll learn the real reason River Monsters was canceled. One so shocking it has nothing to do with ratings, fish safety, or network budgets. Let's rewind to 2008, when Animal Planet first greenlit Wade's quest to chase down legendary freshwater predators. From the murky backwaters of Brazil's Amazon basin to the flooded rice paddies of Cambodia, Wade's signature blend of scientific curiosity and no-nonsense bravado turned each episode into an edge of your seat thriller. Viewers watched as he dangled for enormous arapaima, coaxed monster catfish from riverbanks at dawn, and endured bone-chilling bites from kangaroo catfish in dark tributaries. The show became a cultural phenomenon, spawning fan clubs, live lectures, and a best-selling tie-in book. For years, producers rolled cameras into Wade's unannounced global treks, confident that his pursuit of aquatic beasts would continue indefinitely. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. By season 9, murmurs of escalating production costs began to circulate among staffers. Wade needed larger crews, more specialized equipment, and custom-built underwater drones to film behemoth river sharks. Insurance premiums skyrocketed after a near-fatal accident in 2014 when a camera boat capsized during a monsoon in Uganda, leaving $250,000 worth of gear battered on the lake bottom. The network's bean counters tallied every expense: chartered flights to remote islands, specialist medical teams on standby, and clandestine permits to film in protected wildlife areas. Each new locale amplified the price tag exponentially. As costs ballooned, another crisis loomed. In late 2022, leaked online footage showed Wade releasing a gigantic peacock bass back into the wild, only to trap it hours later in a hidden net to keep it alive for additional shots. Fans accused him of staging scenes, and environmental advocates cried foul, claiming the stunt violated the very conservation ethos Wade professed. Animal Planet issued a statement promising stricter oversight, but social media buzz intensified. Even loyal viewers began to question whether River Monsters had slipped from documentary into sensationalist reality TV. Ratings dipped slightly in key demographics, and advertisers bristled at brand safety concerns. Yet none of these factors alone spelled the show's end. The true tipping point came during Season 11's production in the Mekong Delta. There, Wade intended to capture footage of the fabled giant stingray, an elusive creature rumored to weigh over 2,000 pounds. The expedition required a $500,000 budget for deep-water submersibles and a support team of marine biologists. But at the 11th hour, local authorities withdrew filming permits, citing contamination risks in the river after industrial pollution tests revealed dangerously high heavy metal levels. Wade pivoted to Plan B, an artificial indoor tank in Phnom Penh's aquarium, rigged to replicate the Mekong's silt-laden currents. His team spent days filming CGI-enhanced chase sequences, but in Wade's own words, it felt soulless. When the unfinished footage reached Animal Planet executives in New York, they watched in stunned silence. The network president turned to the programming VP and asked, "Is this the best River Monsters can be?" The answer, laden with subtext, was implicit. By January 2023, internal memos began circulating, proposing a 6-month hiatus to retool the show's vision and reduce costs. Marketing teams drafted press releases touting a creative pause, and production schedules were adjusted. But Wade, ever direct, learned of the pause through a leaked memo. Feeling blindsided, he released a video to fans expressing frustration at the lack of transparency and the dilution of the show's integrity. That public dust-up created a perfect storm. Animal Planet's parent company faced investor pressure to cut underperforming franchises. With the show's brand tarnished by accusations of staging and a hiatus dragging on for months, executives concluded that relaunching would require more time and money than they could justify. In April 2023, Wade received a terse call from the network. River Monsters would not return for season 12. His reaction was captured in a raw Instagram live session where he stared directly into the camera and said, "They didn't cancel River Monsters because we ran out of fish. They canceled it because they ran out of faith." What makes this revelation truly shocking is that the show's demise had less to do with fish or finance and everything to do with trust. Trust between Wade and his network, between producers and viewers, and between conservation and entertainment. When the pavilion of spectacle cracked under the weight of authenticity challenges and budgetary strain, the entire structure collapsed. Tonight, we'll unpack every twist. The hidden memos that foreshadowed cancellation, the legal battle over unreleased footage, and Wade's plans to resurrect his mission via independent streaming. Because the real reason River Monsters was canceled isn't what you think. It's that the world's most relentless fish hunter outgrew the confines of cable television, and when he refused to bend, the network broke first. By late 2022, whispers of trouble on the Mekong shoot had already circled the globe. Production budgets for River Monsters had swelled to an unprecedented $500,000 per episode, more than 5 times the original cost. Armored support boats, custom underwater lighting rigs, and deep-sea submersibles all demanded specialist crews flown in by charter jets. Insurance alone for the expedition ran into 6 figures. Liability coverage for Wade's daring dives, equipment wreckage, and health evac guarantees. Every fixer and translator added another layer of expense. Producers joked that assembling the team began to feel like mounting a small military deployment rather than a wildlife documentary. Then came the environmental bombshell. Local authorities announced, in a press release, that heavy metal tests in the Mekong had found astoundingly high levels of mercury and lead, traces from upstream gold mining operations and industrial runoff. Filming permits were revoked outright, citing public health mandates. The network's executive producer, Mark Calloway, received the official notice just before breakfast. He scanned the terse government memo, no appeals, no grace period, and felt his stomach drop. The entire centerpiece of the season, the legendary giant stingray quest, was dead in the water. Frantic calls blared through the production office. Wade and his core crew, camera operators, dive safety officers, sound technicians, huddled on a satellite uplink gimbal set in a supplier's Phnom Penh warehouse. Calloway pitched a pivot, an impromptu tank shoot at the local aquarium, rigged to simulate the Mekong's murky flow. "We can finish the storyline," he urged. "We'll cheat it with CGI and sound effects." Wade's reply crackled over satellite phone. "I swore we'd chase monsters in the wild, not in a fishbowl. This isn't River Monsters if it's staged." His frustration echoed against rusty metal crates. Despite Wade's objections, the aquascape solution proceeded. Crews spent 3 days building a weighted netting system to corral a 90-pound ray. They installed sediment dispensers for clouded water and drag boom mics under plexiglass panels. Every take required post-production blending to erase walls and fluorescent lights. By the final edit, the segment ran 90 seconds, less than 10% of an episode, but cost over $200,000 to produce. In the network's New York headquarters, the programming VP convened a lost revenue meeting. Senior accountants projected a 6-figure budget overrun just for that single scene. A finance director muttered, "We're bleeding money for a fish nobody believes exists." Meanwhile, public confidence frayed. Environmental NGOs seized on the aquarium footage leak, accusing the show of fabricating wildlife encounters. Social media posts juxtaposed behind-the-scenes clips with slick final edits, mocking Wade's talents. River Monsters or River Fakers? Fans flooded comment sections demanding proof of authenticity. Even veteran viewers began questioning whether Wade's legendary fish stories were Hollywood illusions. Advertisers warned brand managers that association with staged wildlife content could spark boycotts or regulatory scrutiny under new digital advertising policies. The network's ad sales head circulated a memo marking River Monsters as high-risk inventory. Amid this maelstrom, Animal Planet's parent company held an emergency board meeting. The CEO, facing declining subscription growth, demanded cost-cutting and brand rehabilitation. "We need new IP or we scrap the show," she declared. Marketing chiefs projected a 6-month hiatus to revamp the format, smaller budgets, hybrid animation segments, spin-off series on fish anatomy rather than field expeditions. These proposals clashed with Wade's vision. In private negotiations, Wade balked at any compromise that diluted the raw thrill of chasing real monsters in unforgiving rivers. His agents warned that a diluted brand would alienate his core audience. Behind closed doors, network lawyers reviewed Wade's contract. They unearthed a clause allowing termination if production costs exceeded a threshold or if footage was deemed compromised by staged content. That clause had sat dormant for years. The head of legal, wary of a high-profile firing, drafted an exit letter offering Wade a golden handshake but insisting on non-disclosure. The terms: no future rights to River Monsters brand, no social media disparagement, and a six-figure confidentiality fee. Calloway privately predicted Wade would refuse. His pride won't let him sign away the truth, he sighed. In February 2023, Wade received the network's final offer: accept creative control over a new, lower-budget format or step aside. The letter arrived via email with a red receipt. Wade studied the terms for 3 days, then recorded an Instagram live video from his home office. He faced the camera, river maps pinned behind him, and said, "I love this show, but I won't betray my audience for cheaper production tricks." River Monsters was born on wild waters, not studio sets. They can press cancel if that's what it takes. The video cut abruptly, leaving viewers speechless. Animal Planet's board acted swiftly. Within 48 hours, they issued a press release. River Monsters has been canceled following a strategic content review. No mention of costs or staging controversy, just corporate jargon about programming realignment. Wade's social media channels exploded, millions of comments lamenting the loss of authenticity and demanding the show's return. In the wings, spin-off crews scrapped plans for scripted fish biology segments. Sponsors shifted ad dollars to competitors' nature series, and network execs faced tough investor questions. Why kill your flagship unscripted hit when nothing else has captured the audience like that? So ended the run of River Monsters. Not because there were no more rivers to explore, but because the financial and ethical margins that once gave Wade freedom had narrowed to a razor's edge. When Wade revealed they canceled River Monsters, he laid bare a truth more shocking than any giant catfish: that even the most passionate quest can drown when budgets bloat, trust erodes, and a network's faith in authenticity runs dry. The moment Animal Planet pulled River Monsters, the ripples reached far beyond studio offices. Within hours, podcasts devoted entire episodes to dissecting the cancellation, interviewing former crew members who described abandoned submersibles left to rust in Bangkok warehouses and misplaced film reels rotting in Thai customs. Host after host lamented that no other wildlife series had delivered the same rush of edge-of-your-seat exploration mixed with genuine scientific curiosity. Meanwhile, viewers posted petitions demanding reruns and hashtag campaigns. Hashtag Bring Back River Monsters, trending on Twitter and Instagram. Amid the uproar, Jeremy Wade retreated to his own riverside cabin in Cornwall. There, between nightly journal entries and riverbank walks, he plotted a bold comeback. First, he launched a crowdfunding campaign on the platform Rally Fish, offering tiers of rewards: digital river maps annotated with Wade's handwritten notes, signed 35mm film stills, and private Zoom calls to discuss monster hunting techniques. The campaign's initial goal was $200,000, but smashed past $500,000 within 24 hours, a testament to Wade's dedicated fanbase refusing to let the monsters die. Simultaneously, Wade partnered with an independent streamer, Wild Eye Studios, to produce River Monsters Unplugged, a direct-to-digital spin-off without corporate oversight. Filming began that spring on the Our the River in Belgium, a modest operation with a 2-man camera team and a kayak for transport. Without the luxury of submersibles, Wade relied on long telephoto lenses and GoPros embedded in cork floats. The first episode, released on YouTube in June 2023, featured the grass carp, a local monster known for uprooting riverbanks. Wade's narration, unscripted and raw, intertwined fish biology with conservation pleas, resonating deeply with subscribers who soared past 1 million views in a week. Back at Animal Planet, executives watched the YouTube metrics warily. Spin-off series like Fish Wars and River Beasts had launched in July, but garnered only a fraction of the audience. Advertisers yanked mid-season commercials from River Beasts after social media backlash compared their staged animatronics to River Monsters' real encounters. Corporate memos leaked warning of a brand dilution crisis, prompting hastily called meetings to salvage the franchise. Attempts to recruit Wade back on new contractual terms failed when he refused to relinquish creative control or accept watered-down budgets. Wade's legal team then filed a trademark claim, seeking rights to the River Monsters name for digital and streaming platforms. Animal Planet responded by pointing to their exclusive cable agreement, setting the stage for a bitter intellectual property showdown. Court filings revealed that Wade's original contract granted the network rights in perpetuity, but lawyers for Wade argued that digital realms were unforeseeable in 2008 and thus fell outside the contract scope. The dispute played out in entertainment industry tabloids, fueling debates about content ownership in the streaming era. Meanwhile, Wade didn't pause his monster hunting. He traveled to Ontario's Lake of the Woods to investigate the legendary sturgeon weighing over 800 pounds, a story he'd teased on River Monsters but never filmed due to network cost concerns. Operating on his own dime, he chartered local guides and enlisted indigenous elders to share ecological wisdom. The expedition yielded stunning footage of massive fish swimming just below the surface, captured by remote-controlled cameras Wade had designed himself. Wild Eye Studios released the short film free online, generating headlines in both angling magazines and major news outlets. By early 2024, Jeremy Wade's independent ventures had become a case study in audience empowerment. Fans organized watch parties and pledged recurring donations via Wade's Patreon, funding his fieldwork and supporting local conservation groups Wade advocated for in each episode. River Monsters fandom shifted from passive viewership to active stewardship, mirroring Wade's own conservation message. Local river restoration projects reported volunteer surges after episodes highlighted polluted waterways needing cleanup. In April 2024, Wade took the fight back to Animal Planet at a public panel during the Wildlife Documentary Summit in Bristol. On stage, he faced the network's programming VP and held up a cork float with a GoPro attached. "This is all the equipment I need," he said to applause. "Real adventures, real monsters, real science, without six-figure budgets and corporate red tape." The audience rose to its feet, and dozens streamed his speech live. Industry insiders admitted privately that watching Wade's DIY ethos was a wake-up call to rethink unscripted programming's future. Later that year, Wade announced the first River Monsters World Tour, live events combining multimedia presentations, Q&A sessions, and expeditions filmed in real time. Tickets sold out stadiums from Chicago to Tokyo, solidifying that his personal brand transcended any single network. Sponsors returned, this time on Wade's terms, with equipment manufacturers and conservation NGOs underwriting his fieldwork. Meanwhile, Animal Planet's flagship site traffic plummeted, and investors questioned the viability of traditional cable docu-series in the digital age. As 2025 dawned, the legacy of River Monsters and its shocking cancellation served as a cautionary tale and an inspiration. Networks learned that budgets and brand safety can't outweigh authentic storytelling, while content creators recognized the power of direct audience engagement. Jeremy Wade's revelation of why River Monsters was canceled, rooted in cost overruns and network politics, sparked a renaissance in wildlife filmmaking that privileged passion over profit. And for millions of fans, the monsters live on, whether lurking in dark river depths or swimming freely in the unfiltered currents of independent media. The legal showdown between Jeremy Wade and Animal Planet reached its apex in spring 2024 when both sides convened before a federal judge in New York. Wade's attorneys argued that the original River Monsters contract, signed in 2008, did not explicitly grant cable exclusive rights in perpetuity across emergent digital platforms. They cited precedent from similar media cases, asserting that streaming and direct-to-consumer distribution constituted a fundamentally new market that the parties had never contemplated. Animal Planet's counsel countered by pointing to broad, all media now known or hereafter devised language in a rider added in 2012. Yet Wade's team highlighted internal network emails admitting the network had always viewed River Monsters as primarily cable content, and never invested in digital distribution strategies. On the first day of oral arguments, the judge peppered both sides with questions about industry norms and evolving technology. He asked how much revenue streaming could realistically generate versus traditional advertising, and whether network assurances to advertisers that River Monsters would remain cable-only constituted a binding promise to viewers. Network executives testified that they had never intended to block Wade from future digital ventures, but had genuinely believed the series' value lay in cable viewership. Wade himself took the stand, his calm, affable demeanor masking fierce conviction. He spoke directly to the court about authenticity, viewer trust, and the need for creators to share in new revenue streams driven by their personal brands. The courtroom drama was live-streamed to thousands of fans, who erupted in supportive tweets under #WadeWins. Fisheries scientists, conservationists, and veteran viewers penned amicus briefs praising the show's educational impact and urging the judge to protect creative ownership in the public interest. More than 24 industry figures, including wildlife film legends, streaming executives, and prominent documentarians, signed letters applauding Wade's commitment to authenticity and arguing that robust creator rights would incentivize high-quality, unscripted programming. By early June, the judge issued a landmark ruling. He found that while the network held continuing broadcast rights over cable and linear channels, digital and streaming rights were not automatically conferred without a clear contractual amendment. Moreover, he chastised the network's failure to renegotiate in good faith when streaming became a mainstream distribution method. The order granted Wade co-ownership of the River Monsters brand for all non-cable media, effectively enabling him to produce and monetize new digital content under the established name. Costs were to be shared. Revenue from new streaming episodes would be split evenly, and Wade was entitled to recoup his campaign expenses up to $750,000. Animal Planet was barred from using the River Monsters trademark in digital ads without Wade's consent. The judgment reverberated throughout the media industry. News outlets hailed the decision as the day streaming finally showed its teeth, and entertainment law journals called it a new frontier for unscripted intellectual property. Cable networks quietly reviewed their unscripted contracts, inserting explicit digital rights clauses and sunset provisions for older agreements. Production companies scrambled to secure streaming carve-outs in their talent deals, ensuring that individual creators would not be locked out of next-generation platforms. Even the Writers Guild and Producers Guild cited the ruling in recommended contract updates for nonfiction shows. Meanwhile, Wade wasted no time capitalizing on his digital victory. In August 2024, he debuted River Monsters, Frontiers, an 8-episode streaming series charting remote underwater cave systems and subterranean river networks. Production costs were a fraction of the Mekong expedition thanks to lean crews and advanced open-source remote cameras. Wade's narration remained unfiltered, and fans praised the series as pure River Monsters magic, without cable constraints. In just 6 weeks, Frontiers surpassed 5 million subscribers on WildEye Plus and spurred partnerships with major streaming platforms keen to secure exclusive wildlife content. Profits poured in, and Wade channeled a substantial portion into the Rivers Alive Fund, a new nonprofit he founded to support global freshwater conservation. His first major grant funded community-driven cleanup efforts on the Ganges, and subsequent contributions sustained eel conservation research in Japan's inland waterways. By year's end, the Rivers Alive Fund had mobilized over 200 river restoration projects worldwide, bolstered by Wade's public lectures and benefit screenings of Frontiers episodes. At the Wildlife Documentary Summit in October, Wade accepted the newly created Pioneer of Unscripted Streaming Award. In his acceptance speech, he highlighted the importance of creator rights and public trust in documentary filmmaking. When networks and creators collaborate in good faith, he said, we deliver stories that resonate deeply, and we protect the integrity that first drew audiences into our wildest waters. His remarks punctuated a paradigm shift. Streaming was no longer an afterthought, but the leading edge of nonfiction storytelling. By early 2025, River Monsters had become a multi-platform empire. Alongside Frontiers on WildEye Plus, archived seasons streamed on major services, complete with newly narrated director's cut commentaries by Wade. a branded podcast, Monster Lore, topped wildlife charts, featuring interviews with conservationists and indigenous river guides. Virtual reality experiences recreated iconic monster hunts in immersive detail. Luxury travel partners offered river monsters expeditions, curated trips led by Wade and his team to witness some of the globe's most formidable freshwater species in person. Animal Planet, for its part, quietly pulled river beasts from prominence, shifting focus to original animal rescue programming. They retained cable rights to River Monsters reruns, but seeded the digital realm. In an understatement typical of network press statements, they admitted that the market has evolved and pledged to pursue new content partnerships. Ultimately, Jeremy Wade's revelation of why River Monsters was canceled and his fearless stand for authenticity and creator rights did more than revive a beloved series. It catalyzed a transformation in how unscripted content was produced, licensed, and consumed. By staking his reputation and negotiating a new model, Wade ensured that River Monsters could continue to thrill, educate, and inspire, unfettered by the budget battles and brand wars that once sank its cable incarnation. And in doing so, he demonstrated that even the most fearsome monsters could be tamed by integrity, determination, and a stream of conscious conviction that the wild stories deserve to be told. Jeremy Wade's triumph in court and the subsequent launch of River Monsters Frontiers set off an industry-wide reappraisal of how unscripted series should be funded, licensed, and distributed. By late 2024, his independent studio model had inspired a wave of creator-led wildlife shows. Hosts as diverse as deep-sea explorer Dr. Sylvia Hart and Amazonian field biologist Lucas Cruz launched crowdfunding campaigns to produce their own unplugged documentaries. Platforms from YouTube to boutique science streamers expanded budgets modestly, but prioritized authenticity over spectacle. Where once studios demanded six-figure per episode costs, producers found that minimal crews and advanced consumer-grade tech, drones, remote cameras, GoPros, could yield compelling content at a fraction of the price. At the same time, cable networks scrambled to adjust. Animal Planet and its peers launched micro-expeditions, compact two-person crews traveling to local waterways to film regional fish species, conservation challenges, and cultural connections. These shorter, rough-hewn segments carried the spirit of Frontiers, but with tighter budgets. No heavy submersibles or foreign permits. Sponsors favored the nimble approach, buying ad slots under six-digit thresholds, and production houses drafted new templates for lean field work. Jeremy Wade's testament that compelling storytelling need not hinge on lavish expenditures had become the new gospel. Meanwhile, Wade extended his digital franchise beyond River Monsters. His podcast Monster Lore dove into the cultural myths and scientific realities behind freshwater legends worldwide. Each episode brought in experts, ichthyologists, anthropologists, local village elders, to unpack stories like Canada's white sturgeon spirits or India's mystic Masir. Listeners exceeded 2 million monthly downloads by mid-2025, and Wade used the platform to highlight community-led conservation projects, raising immediate crowdsourced grants during live podcast fundraisers. Wade's Rivers Alive fund matured into a major nonprofit by early 2025. In partnership with universities and NGOs, the fund sponsored research on endangered river species, established microgrants for grassroots cleanup efforts, and supported educational programs in schools near threatened freshwater habitats. Wade personally visited project sites, from the Yangtze in China to the Okavango Delta, filming short segments for his social channels. Those clips, organic in style and low budget, attracted millions of views and inspired volunteer signups, giving local efforts unprecedented public attention. His live River Monsters World Tour evolved into a year-round lecture series at museums and auditoriums. Audiences experienced multimedia presentations combining unreleased footage from his recent expeditions, scientific data on river health, and interactive Q&A segments. One landmark event at London's Natural History Museum sold out all 5,000 seats in under an hour. During intermission, museum staff reported a 300% spike in donations to their freshwater conservation exhibits, proof that Wade's advocacy extended beyond entertainment into meaningful action. Film schools and wildlife media programs incorporated river monsters case studies into their curricula. Students dissected Wade's field approach, how to build rapport with local communities, manage safety in remote locations, and balance narrative drama with scientific accuracy. Professors highlighted his DIY use of cork cameras and solar-powered rigs as lessons in cost-effective innovation. Wade himself accepted invitations to guest lecture at the University of California's Center for Documentary Studies and at the National Television Academy's New York chapter, sharing insights on ethical storytelling and sustainable production. Even mainstream awards began recognizing his digital work. At the 2025 Wildscreen Festival, River Monsters: Frontiers won Best Independent Series, a category newly created to honor creator-driven projects outside traditional studio pipelines. Wade's acceptance speech, streamed live to a global audience, emphasized the importance of trust between storyteller and viewer and thanked his crowdfunding supporters for proving that niche audiences can sustain high-quality production. Animal Planet, acknowledging the shifting tides, quietly repackaged older River Monsters seasons into a classics streaming bundle, licensing them to a major global platform under new terms that shared revenue with Wade. The move both recognized as co-ownership and tapped into renewed demand. Cable viewership for river-themed content rose 25% year-over-year, demonstrating that Wade's brand presence had revived interest across all media. By mid-2025, Jeremy Wade had come full circle. His bold stand for authenticity and creator rights had not only resurrected his own series, but also launched a broader movement. Wildlife documentaries that revered integrity, community collaboration, and fiscal responsibility. River Monsters returned to its roots, genuine encounters in real rivers, while spawning a legacy of creators empowered to chart their own creative streams. In doing so, Wade proved that the deepest monsters aren't always the creatures beneath the water, but the barriers, financial, legal, ethical, that threaten to drown authentic storytelling. His journey reaffirmed that with trust, ingenuity, and a well-cast line, storytellers can pull a fresh catch from even the most turbulent currents. The curtain fell on Victory Falls Gorge, where minutes earlier Wade had battled the world's largest freshwater eel, yet the voyage was far from over. River Monsters: Unplugged had premiered on digital channels, earned Wade millions of new followers, and proven that audiences craved raw adventure. Still, Wade sensed the tide shifting once more, this time toward deeper conservation impact and immersive storytelling. In early 2025, he unveiled the next wave: River Monsters: Citizen Science, a project empowering everyday anglers, river guides, and community scientists to contribute real-time data on freshwater biodiversity. Participants downloaded the free River Monsters app, which Wade had personally beta tested on remote Thai tributaries and Scottish lochs. The app enabled users to log creature sightings, water quality metrics, and GPS locations. They could upload photos, record short video clips, and answer simple prompts about habitat conditions. Wade's face greeted first-time users. "You're now part of the mission. Help us map the missing monsters." Within weeks, dozens of local fishing clubs and environmental organizations had